So what should we call this tag? Perfect palettes?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So over the summer, Kate and I have been kicking around this idea for a tag video because we both love palettes. Yeah,
No surprise.
I raised her right. I love palettes. She loves palettes. Anyway, I have a serious palette addiction, and I'm guessing you probably do too.
Kind of, yeah.
So anyway, we thought it might be kind of fun and interesting just to kind of share our palette collection with you, and we created a couple of questions to talk about them. So I have 10 palettes in my stack, and how many do you have?
I think I have 9 or so.
9-ish. So I thought maybe what we'd quickly do is just do like a really quick overview, show and tell, and then kind of get into the
perfect palette tag.
The perfect palette tag.
I'm excited.
Okay. Why don't you do yours first?
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off with Urban Decay, and I'll make it quick. The first one I have is the Urban Decay Alice in Wonderland palette, which is no longer around. I think you can buy it on eBay. Looks like this, and these 3 things have already been used, but this is really cool because it also has a little thing. Urban Decay does everything to the max. So then I have the original Urban Decay Naked palette, which my madre gave to me. Gotten a lot of use. And then I have the Naked 2 palette as well, which I use a lot. Next we're going into Too Faced. I have the Summer Eye palette, which looks like this. And then the Naked Eye palette, which I've used a lot of. Hit pan on almost every single one. And then the Natural Eye palette, which I just bought. So, and then I have one Sigma palette. I have the Sigma Bear palette, and it looks like this. It's really pretty. And then 2 palettes from Coastal Scents. I have the 88 color palette, which broke. So you can see part of this one's gonna fall out soon. And then I also have the 88 Warm palette, which looks like this. Those are all my palettes.
Okay, so I quickly organized mine by brand, but I don't have quite as much overlap in brand as Kate does. So I'm going to start off with Urban Decay also. So I have the little Naked Basics palette, and I have the Smoked palette.
This one's one of my favorites.
Then moving on to Tarte. I don't even remember what this one is called. It is still available. I'll have to look that up and put it in the down bar. So that's from Tarte. And then Aqua Lilies. That. And I have one from Kat Von D, which I'm wearing today. And I have the Laura Mercier Artist palette. This was limited edition. It's no longer available. If you have it, you're so lucky. It's such a great palette. And the Stila in the Light palette. This is relatively new to me. And the Lorac Pro palette. That. And NARS and God Created the Woman. Yeah, I just like that name, however. And then the new Bobbi Brown limited edition Navy and Nude palette. Which is still available right now.
I just want to say one thing. If you're thinking about getting the Stila palettes that look like this, make sure that the actual colors themselves match up in the holes. My mom bought one and it didn't match up, and I just don't want anyone else to have that problem.
Yeah, I talked about that in my very big birthday haul.
Ooh,
Yeah. So the first question in this tag is packaging. So which palette do you have that you think has the best packaging?
You want me to go first?
You go first.
My pick out of mine is the Urban Decay Alice in Wonderland palette. I'm a huge Alice in Wonderland fan, so I like this one the best. And I just like all the detail that it has and how they named all the names. And then this is probably my favorite part, just a little pop-up thing that they put in here. So that's my favorite packaging.
I haven't seen them do too many like this lately.
They don't do these anymore. I think
why.
Sephora started doing the ones for the princesses, like the Ariel palettes out now, but I think they're stopping that as well.
So my favorite is the Aqua Lilies palette. You know, I think the front of it is so beautiful. It's so sleek. So it's sleek and beautiful. I think the layout inside is really wonderful. It has a great mirror.
It's a unique shape.
So this is by far, I remember when I opened this, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So then the next question is color payoff. So which palette do you think has the best color payoff?
I have two, and they are the Naked palettes from Urban Decay. I just think that Urban Decay does a great job with their colors, and I think every color is extremely pigmented, and you get a lot of bang for your buck with these because you don't have to use as much. So.
Good point. So I also kind of have a tie as well, and for me, it's the Lorac Pro palette and the Laura Mercier Artist palette. I think these have great color payoff and just they're so easy to work with. They're just a delight. Just a delight. Okay, so number 3 is versatility. So which palette do you think is the most versatile?
I, again, have to go with my two Naked palettes. I personally think that these have the most versatile, different kind of looks that you can get out of them. You can go really, really natural, or you can go really, really heavy. And I like these for school. I brought both of these back to school, and I use them all the time because I can use them for any occasion that I come across.
So I picked the Lorac Pro palette, and one of the reasons why I picked it is because it has equal matte and shimmer shades in it, and such a great range of shades from, you know, light to medium to really dark, and has great highlight shades, and also has these dark shades that you can use as a liner. So one palette that can do it all.
That's a plus.
That's a plus. Okay, then the next one is which palette has the best for travelability?
I actually have 3, but they're all kind of the same, and it's the Too Faced palettes that are these little boxes, and I think these are so great and convenient. I'll show you my favorite one, because you get all of these colors that you can do multiple things with, but it's really compact, and I fit these in my makeup bag so easily.
So for me, the clear winner is going to be this one. I traveled with it a lot this summer. It mostly because it has, you know, bronzer and highlight, blush and all. Before I got this was my go-to palette for travel.
I like this one.
This one's really great. I've forgotten how great it is because it has a nice assortment of shadows, but it has 2 blush choices built in. So I kind of like that grab and go aspect of it. But
who doesn't love 2 blush colors?
I know, right? But gosh, I used the heck out of this summer. Okay, so then moving on to which palette is your biggest regret that you regret purchasing?
So mine would have to be the Too Faced Summer Eye palette. I bought this because I really liked the names on them, and more specifically this one, which I believe is Mermaid. And I really don't use this at all. I think I used it a couple times when I bought it. I just don't think that the colors are that great.
Or maybe they're just not right for you.
I don't think they're right for me. I do like the color, the mermaid color for doing like under eye, but this is my biggest regret. And I think the reason I wanted it so bad is because it was prom season and everyone was buying it. And I was in college and I wanted to be like, but I just don't really ever use it. It just kind of sits there.
They actually redid it for this past summer.
Did they? Mm-hmm. But I don't like this version of it. So,
yeah.
It just, and some of the colors are just too sparkly, which is a thing if I'm saying that.
All right, so this is this is my biggest regret. And for me, you know, the colors inside, they are so beautiful. They are so dark. It's just, they're really hard to wear for me. I think they're hard to wear. Maybe if I were younger and going out more, I would like it. So now I mostly just use it as like, sorry, bang you in the head, like little accent colors. But
I like that a lot.
we might have to do a little prisoner exchange.
Little swap.
Okay. So, which palette do you think has the best color names?
That's number 6.
Number 6.
I favor this palette so much, but the Alice in Wonderland palette definitely does. Just because the names in here they just go along so well with the whole entire storyline. But I also really like this, which Urban Decay is known for doing, is that their one color called Alice is literally the color that I would, like if it was in front of me, I would just associate it with Alice. But I know that in the Ariel palette from Sephora, they did not have any true red shades for Ariel, which was surprising. So.
Well, for eyeshadow, red's a color, hard color.
I know, but it's a color that is very much associated with that. So.
Okay. I think in general, Urban Decay has the best color names. I was hard pressed to pick between these two palettes. They both have really fun, interesting names. And, you know, for someone of my vintage, they're printed and they're big enough that I can read them. So, like this one from Stila. They're so itty bitty, I can't read them.
She asked me to read them to her.
I'm like, are you kidding me? And when I did a video on this, I actually had to print them out and put them on the wall behind the camera in a bigger font because they're virtually unreadable and it's not enough contrast. Yeah. Oh well. Okay, so getting down, we have last 2 questions. And the next one is your least used palette.
My least used palettes, I will probably end up saying are my Coastal Scents palettes, both of them. Something just fell out of one.
Uh-oh.
That's lovely. And the reason that these are my least used is because I used them more when I was in high school when I first started getting into doing makeup. But their color payoff isn't good, and I just think that it's really cheap packaging. It falls apart very easily, and I mean, it's good for the $20 that you spend for one of them, but not if you use them all the time.
So do you think those are good for someone just starting out? Because
Yeah.
it gives you lots of choices and you can play around with it a little bit.
I think
and then kind of decide what your style is like.
the best one to start out with is the original one, which has all the colors of the rainbow, because then it gives you kind of something to play with. But if you're looking for a really cheap palette, I mean, out of the Coastal Scents palettes, I think the Warm palette is the best. But
Like a big old neutral palette.
it is a big old neutral palette, but I wouldn't use half these colors. But me being in high school, this was fine for me.
So for me, you know, it is this poor little smoked palette. Poor baby. He's so beautiful, but... So I'm actually going to challenge myself to come up with some more wearable looks from this palette. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll do a little video on that because I think there are some wearable looks in there. I just haven't discovered them yet. I think it was very much an impulse buy for me and instant regret. But I didn't take it back. Okay. So the very last question is kind of like, you know, the big winner. Which palette is your most used, most loved, almost like your desert island palette? Like if you were stranded and you only had one palette with you, God forbid, which one would it be?
I have a tie. I have a tie because this is the Naked palette from Too Faced. It's one of my favorites. I have hit pan on almost every single one. They're great colors. I really specifically like this black color because it's creamier than most blacks and not so harsh. But at the same time, I also really like the Natural Eye palette. I could talk. I use this every day in college, and it's a great palette. And I don't know. These are like my two babies. When I travel, I have to decide which one I want to take.
So which one do you pick the most? You have to pick one. I'm
I
going to force you to pick one.
I can't. I love them both equally. Are you really going to make me choose?
I am. You think about that.
Fine. The Naked Eye one because I've hit pan on almost every single one. But more specifically, Birthday Suit is my favorite color.
There you go.
Boom.
Okay, so my favorite is this one.
That's a big surprise.
It definitely, when I open up all my palettes, it's the one with the most divots. And it's not necessarily the one I've had the longest either. I just love this palette so much. And, you know, because it has a full face in it, hands down, this is the one I'd want to be stranded on a desert island with.
I think the difference between my mom and I palettes is that she chooses one that has eyeshadows and like a blush or a bronzer in it, whereas I just go straight for eyeshadows.
Well, I only have two that have both in it.
But you traditionally, she's drawn more towards them in the store.
I am so drawn to that. Because
I've noticed.
It's easy. It's just one thing in the bag. Here you go. Yay. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tag video, your perfect palette. And if you're interested in doing this tag, I would love for you to do a video response and let me know. I'm going to include a few people that I would like to see do this video, and hopefully their tags will show up soon. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Bye!
Which
Reorganize. Okay, I had to have known that was gonna happen.
I think so.
I would just say the thing.
English, please.
Ding!